What is your opinion on Cory Booker and Kamala Harris? Barack Obama 2.0 and Barack Obama 3.0. What do y'all look to see? Here y'all go again, hallucinating. If you didn't get nothing from Barack, why would you get something from Cory? Kamala Harris got a white husband. Do you really think she worried about Negroes? Anybody got a black agenda? You're done. You wanna know why you're done? Because when Barack Obama sat up there for 8 years and did nothing for black folks, not one of you asked him to do anything. So now the black agenda is off the table. And the only way we can get it put back on the table is if we unite as one voice. We can get it back on the table, but we gotta unite as one voice. And the problem with black people is you want to be everything except black. And for the record, I do not vote unless the person running for office, political office, can answer me 3 questions. Are you an independent candidate? If you're Democrat or Republican, I will not vote for you.
Right.
Why? Because the Democratic Party is a white racist institution. The Republican Party is a white racist institution. And if you belong to either party, that means you're going to do whatever they tell you to do so you can get their money to run for office. I do not vote for black Republicans, and I do not vote for black Democrats. I only vote for independent-minded black people. That's it. That's it. Number 2, what are you going to do to help black people access the wealth of Buffalo City and New York State? What are you going to do to grow more black businesses? And I'm not talking about pretzel shops and licorice stands. I'm not talking about weed factories either. I'm talking about medium and large shops. We want a black mart to compete with Walmart. We want our own car to compete with Mercedes-Benz. We want our own laptops to compete with Microsoft. And if you're not trying to put black people in a position to compete with white folks for big business, I'm not voting for you. See, most black politicians only promise you services. We're going to get your trash collected twice a week instead of one. We're going to give out the free milk and butter 3 times a week instead of one. We're going to open up a new homeless shelter. We're going to open up a new battered women's shelter. We're going to, what else are we going to do? Give me another little service they've thrown out here for blacks. Give me some little petty they do to make you. Oh, we're going to repaint the sidewalks. I just saw on the news last night, y'all not going to be able to use plastic bags in New York no more?
No.
What kind of stuff is that? Say it again. Open up and you say, oh, we're going to give them basketball all day long. I don't want no more services. I want money and wealth and resources. See, I'm not voting for nobody unless you growing businesses. I don't want no handout. See, listen. If a politician comes to you with handouts, services, they intend on you being poor forever. Do y'all follow me? You don't, when you ever see a politician walk into a room full of rich people and say, I'm going to get another homeless shelter. I'm going to get the sidewalks paid. You see? They give that to poor people who they don't ever think about getting wealthy. I want access to the wealth. In other words, how many white banks is in Buffalo? Let's say there's 30 banks in Buffalo. How much money are you demanding every bank in Buffalo loan to black folks to grow their business? And if they don't spend that amount of money helping black people grow their business, you taking all the city money out that bank. I want economic revolution. Dr. King died. Dr. King died 2 days ago, 51 years ago. April 4th, 1968. Dr. King didn't die for nobody's dream because he didn't even write the speech. Dr. King died for economic revolution. Dr. King died because he said, what good is it to fight for the right for my people to buy a burger at the lunch counter if they can't even afford to pay for it? We need economic revolution. What are you doing to grow business? And guess what else? I'm also going to ask, what are you doing to stop the white gentrification of the black community? If a black politician don't have a plan to stop white folks from taking over your See, I'm not like you. You want black faces on white power. Not me. I want a white face on white power. So I know exactly who's in charge. Right. Barack Obama was in there. Y'all thought he was in charge. Barack Obama ain't make a single decision in there except to push the gay agenda in our community. That's it. Vote for independent black people. Don't vote for nobody else. If voting could change anything, it would be illegal. What exactly is ADHD? We talked about that. Oh, here's a good question. And I'm going to end on this and wrap it up. The private school wants to test my daughter for special ed. Listen. Your child goes to a private school. You pay for tuition. Private schools do not have special ed. Special ed is a federal program. Public and charter schools have special ed. So if a private school tells you, I want to test your son or daughter, guess why they're doing that? To kick them out the school. Because this is what they do. They have a school psychologist that will test your child and determine that they have a learning disability, which I had already told you, you can't even prove it, right? And then they'll send you a letter and say, we regret to inform you. We have evaluated King Tut Ma'at Pata Kanum Ra Ganeb San'ank. And we have determined that he has a reading disability. Unfortunately, we are a private school. We're not required to provide special ed services. In order for your son to get what he really needs, you have to return to the public school. We have listed your local public school here. We've already made a phone call for you. We've told the special ed coordinator that little Patah Kaneb Ma'at is coming. Okay? And then you call him up and you say, wait a minute, I didn't say I wanted to take my child out. I'm sorry, but our hands are tied. We love him. Oh, we love him so much. But we don't have a special ed program. The public school is the best place for your son. There's no way we can allow him to stay when we know he has needs that we can't meet. You see that? You don't let private schools test your child. Tell them to be honest with you. If you want my child out, I'll take him out. But I'm not going to let you put a label on your child, on my child. Amen. You know why? Yes. Because if I try to put him in another private school, they can reject him. Correct. I need y'all to hear me, special ed loving black parents. Private schools can legally reject a child with an IEP. You say, my son ain't even got no problem. He just never been taught. It don't matter. He has an IEP, they can refuse him. They can refuse him. As I close up, brothers and sisters, I really do hope to see y'all June 8th and 9th in Wilmington for the National Independent Black Parent Association training. I want you to walk through the school and feel the power of what you purchased, because I say I, but I'm speaking of the collective I. I wouldn't have that school if it wasn't for y'all. And I got a lot of donations from Buffalo, New York. Yes, I did. So give yourselves a hand, because we wouldn't have that school without you. And guess what, brothers and sisters? If you would like to volunteer, you might say, look, Doc, I don't need to work at the school. I got a job. I'm retired, but I would like to volunteer. Some of y'all might know how to do certain things. You might want to help us with our farm, because we plan on having a farm. We plan on having a horse farm. We're going to have a Marcus Garvey gun club. We're going to teach our boys how to fire arms responsibly and legally. We're going to have a fishing club, a hiking club, a camping club. Okay? Some of y'all might want to come down there and teach them how to make vegan cakes twice a month. Or you might want to do a meditation class. You might want to hold a Lamaze class for pregnant women in the community. When the school ends in the afternoon, the community starts. My most expensive bill will be electric, because the lights will never go off. I'm going to put a gym in there so people can come from the community and exercise for a small fee and raise money for the community. Okay, you know how they got Planet Fitness for the white folks? We're going to have Hotep Fitness. And you get a free vegan shake. Okay? No, I'm serious. Whatever you do, if you're a painter, you want to come and show the kids how to paint. If you sew. I had an elder contact me last month. She's going to donate 5 sewing machines. And she's going to come and teach the children how to sew. At my school, our school, they're going to make their own underwear. It might be holy. This leg might be longer than the other. But it'll be the first school in the world where the kids can say, I made my own drawers. Rev, they're going to be as holy can get. So I want you to think about what you can offer to the school. Every one of you got something to offer to our children. And if not to the children, you might have something you want to offer to the community. Dr. Umar, I want to come down there and I want to do a cryptocurrency seminar for the community. I want to come down there and I want to teach black people how to hold on to their houses so they don't get taken back into real estate, gentrification grab. This school is our Mecca. This school is our organizing headquarters. Right now, what am I looking for? I'm looking for someone who can come up with a color scheme for the outside of the building. If any of you do anything that have to do with commercial paint and art, I'm looking for a color scheme. The school buildings, all 4 of them are yellow now, but I want to give it a twist. I want something funky, so when people see it, they know it's a whole new day. So if any of y'all know somebody good with the paint and they can come up with a design for every building, let me know. I'm looking for that. I also need website designers. Anybody here design websites? I mean, design them well. I don't need one page. You can hook it up. All right, you might need to get in contact with me, Queen. I need a website. Anybody do graphic design, flyer design? You got any flyer designers in here? Nah? Yeah. All right, anybody make Kool-Aid? Kool-Aid. Cut it out. But brothers and sisters, put my number in your phone. Take your phone out so you have Dr. Umar's number. Let me also let you know we're going back to Africa. July 25th to August the 4th. If you haven't been to Africa, you can go with us. We are going to Ghana. 11 days and 11 nights for the 400 years quadricentennial year of return. We are leaving from Washington Dulles International Airport, and we will be going to the Elmina Slave Dungeon, the Cape Coast Castle Slave Dungeon, the Prempeh Museum. You will be in a traditional African naming ceremony. You will get a real African name, not the ones they give out at the Buffalo Public Library during Black History Month, but a real one. You're going to... You see the dashiki I'm wearing? I got this custom made in Ghana. Guess how much it cost me? $20 US. Ladies, you can get all the funky African clothes you want. You can come back and do an African fashion show. I'm serious. If you've never been to Ghana, you might want to go with us because it's going to be powerful. It's manifest. It's going to be celebrations, workshops. You're going to meet your African brothers and sisters. It's going to be powerful. So if you've never been to Africa, consider going with us. And if you need the registration information, all you got to do is text my phone. The phone number is 215-989-9858. 215-989-9858. Now, the conference in Delaware, June 8th and 9th, is $100, right? Now, some of y'all gonna say that's too much money. But white folks will charge you $1,000 for what you want to learn for $100. But let me also put it in perspective. If you call me or text me and say, Dr. Umar, me and my husband need to talk to you about our son, the school is trying to railroad us, how much am I going to charge you? $75. So let me ask you a question. What is more economically realistic or responsible? To pay Dr. Umar $75 every time you got a problem? Or come for 2 days and learn everything you need to know to be an advocate for your child, and you never got to spend another dollar on me. I hope y'all come to Delaware. I hope y'all come to Ghana. Tomorrow, if you got family in Syracuse, New York, I will be in Syracuse tomorrow, thanks to the Rev who hooked me up with the AME Zion Church. Give Rev a hand. This is a pastor that stands for the community. You understand? Ain't too many black pastors going to stand with your brother, but this Rev will do that. And he's even helped me hold events in other cities where other AME Zion churches. I'll be in Syracuse tomorrow thanks to his connection. At the AME, the People's AME Zion Church in Syracuse tomorrow. So if any of y'all got family in Syracuse, get them glasses, Queen. If any of y'all got family in Syracuse tomorrow, the doors open up at 3 at the People's AME Zion Church on Salina Street. 220 Salina in Syracuse, I believe it is. Tell them to come on out. And just like I stopped by Frederick Douglass's grave yesterday, tomorrow on my way to Syracuse, guess where I'm stopping?
Harriet Tubman.
Queen Mother Harriet Tubman. And I want to leave on her note. This black woman born Araminta Ross, who changed the name to Harriet Tubman, was hit in the head as a young child with a heavy weight that the slave master threw. The weight was not intended for Harriet, but Harriet loved people so much that she jumped in front of another slave and took the blow. And from then on, she used to have blackouts, seizures for the rest of her life. And then this black woman came to a point, and I believe Harriet Tubman was one of those women of the church chosen by God. She had to be. Was she AMEZ? Harriet Tubman was a member of AME Zion. I didn't even know that. As was Frederick Douglass, I believe. Yes. So she comes from this church movement here. Harriet Tubman said, I made it up in my mind that I had a right to one of two things. If I couldn't have one, I would surely have the other. Freedom or death. She said, either I live free or I'd rather not live at all. So Harriet Tubman runs away from Buckhead, Maryland. And she makes over 30 trips to the South to help other Africans get free. The chief conductor of the Underground Railroad, barely 100 pounds, 5'2", soaking wet, but a giant of a woman. Greatest woman to ever walk American soil, not black, period. There's no white woman you can name that compares to Harriet Tubman. So this year, they're supposed to put her on the front of the $20 bill. Now I want y'all to hold them claps for a minute, because when Harriet Tubman retired from the military, because you know she was a nurse in the Civil War, and a spy in the Civil War, and a scout in the Civil War. And there's something else y'all don't know about Queen Mother Harriet. She's the only woman to lead troops into battle during the Civil War. And just like with the Underground Railroad, she never lost a soldier or ran her train off the track. Harriet Tubman was denied an Army's pension after all she did when she retired. She was up here in Auburn, New York, where the Harriet Tubman home is. And I'm so proud to say that the Harriet Tubman home in Auburn is one of the few black historic houses that we still own. And is that AMEZ too? Mm-hmm. That's AMEZ as well. They own it. And please, Rev, don't let them give it to the Park Service. I heard. Don't do that. Give them another hand, y'all. AMEZ. Hold on to that. Hold on to that. Because we don't own nothing. They own the Frederick Douglass house. They own the Carter G. Woodson house. The white man owned all of our black history places, sacred places. And we have to stop giving them up. We can't let them get the Harriet Tubman home. And if y'all never visited that home, shame on y'all. Shame on y'all. That's only a 2-hour ride. You need to take all your kids to go and walk through the house where Harriet Tubman lived. That woman built a hospital for black folks when the hospitals wouldn't take us. She had a hospital. She had an elderly home. She had a farm. And she would sell animals on a farm to raise money to pay for the institutions. Who did she think she was? And then she had a husband who was a coon. She ran away, came back for him. He done found another woman and said he really wasn't interested into the liberation business. So Harriet Tubman married another brother. And guess what, ladies? Don't tell nobody, but he was 20 years younger than Harriet. Hey! So when Queen Mother Harriet was old and gray, they sat her down and they said, "Was you ever scared?" She said, "I got scared sometimes, but whenever I got into a situation, I would call on my Lord." And she said, "Every time I called on my Lord would find a way to get me out of that situation." She said, "I didn't only pray to God," she said, "I talked to God." Harriet Tubman said, "There was plenty of times the white man almost got me." Remember, her slave master put a $50,000 bounty on Harriet's head. That's the equivalent of millions today. She helped save her mother and father, got them out of slavery just before they were sold off. And if you ever read the way she escaped them, it's like a superhero story. Harriet Tubman rode on a horse in a wagon straight to the house where the mother and father was, and I think the father was scheduled to be sold the next day, loaded them on the wagon, took off, and the white folks is chasing her, shooting and everything, and she going with the horses with her mommy and daddy on the back. She was ride or die. Harriet Tubman said, "Only got one regret. Just one." She said, "I freed hundreds of slaves. I could have freed thousands more. But the problem is my people didn't even know that they were slaves." What does she mean by that? These were people with chains who didn't even know. They thought the white man was better. They would rather stay than go because the white man has brainwashed us into thinking the best thing we can be is second best to him. And Harriet Tubman carried a rifle. She wasn't no joke. A couple times a few people tried to turn back. And guess what she would do? Clink, clink. And her exact words was, "Dead niggas tell no tales. You will go on or die here." Those were her exact words. So if you wonder why she never lost anybody, okay? They knew Harriet would have took their life. And why could she not let them go back? Because they would have told the whole escape route. You know Negroes can't shut up. So brothers and sisters, I say all that to say that we have a great history, great ancestors, a great past, a great legacy, and we will be great again. But I got to give you one more quick one if I can. Dr. Booker T. Washington, born a slave in West Virginia, walks to Hampton, Virginia. He goes to Hampton Institute, can't afford the tuition, so he asks to work his way through Hampton Institute. He works through Hampton Institute. He graduates. The white principal at Hampton gets a phone call from Tuskegee, Alabama. "We need a Negro to come down here and teach black people how to make a living, give them an education." Booker T takes the job. He goes to Tuskegee. He gets to Tuskegee. His first school was an old barn, an old building. And then when the first students of Tuskegee came and they said, "Where's our building? Where's our dorm? Where's the lecture? Where's the bathroom?" Booker T. Washington rolled up his sleeves and said, "You standing on it." He made the students of Tuskegee make their own dormitories. They cooked their own food. They sew their own clothes. They even made their own bricks. They became so popular for brick making that the white man would come to Tuskegee normal school to buy the bricks of the students. And then Booker T said, "I need me a science teacher." He heard of a black man from Iowa by the name of Dr. George Washington Carver, the first African American to get a PhD in agricultural science. He begs him to come to Tuskegee. George Washington Carver comes to Tuskegee. When George Washington Carver was a child, they castrated him, princess. He was raised by a white family who removed his penis so he wouldn't take advantage of their daughter. If y'all ever wonder why George Washington Carver had no children, and he always had a very high-pitched voice, his reproductive was removed. And I believe that has something to do with how spiritual he was with those plants, because they say he could talk to the plant and make the plant grow. I think that has something to do with his trauma. Okay, sometimes when you go through trauma, spirit opens up to you in a different way. So Booker T. Washington comes to Tuskegee. Carver comes to Tuskegee. He asks Booker T, "Where's my apartment? Where's my lecture hall? Where's my science lab?" Booker T said, "I'm sorry, George, but this is all we have." And at the time, George Washington Carver was considered the #1 scientist in America, not black, period. He turned down what would have been equal to $1 million deals by the pharmaceutical companies and the government to come work for Tuskegee. When Booker T told him he didn't have nothing, guess what Carver did? Dr. George Washington Carver didn't complain. He went to the trash dump of the students of Tuskegee. And out of the trash, he took copper, plastic, aluminum, tin, and from the garbage of children, Dr. George Washington Carver, from the garbage of students, gave you more than 500 products from the sweet potato, more than 300 products from the soybean, more than 200 products from the peanut, the soybean, and the sweet potato. He had nothing and gave you everything. Harriet Tubman started with nothing and achieved it all. Frederick Douglass, Marcus Garvey, Sojourner Truth, Martin Delaney had nothing and made something. And here you are with everything and have made nothing. At the end of the day, the white man can only do to us what we allow him to do. Once we recognize that we are God's manifestation of the one supreme invisible force of the universe. Once you recognize that the only thing greater than you is He, I am, we will be able to do anything we want. The solution begins with recognizing and getting in contact with our divine selves. I'll leave you with a quote. And after we're done, I'm going to sign some books. I'm not going to do the Q&A session here. We're going to do it at the Rafi Green Center. 1423 Fillmore. All of you are welcome. It is free. The Rafi Green Center. 1423 Fillmore. How do you spell Fillmore? Fillmore. 1423 Fillmore Avenue. That's where we're going after our signed books. And if you have any questions, you want to have a conversation, tell me how much you can't stand my guts, you can do it at the Rafi Green Center. Frederick Douglass, my ancestor, said, if there is no struggle, there is no progress. Those who profess the faith of freedom and deprecate agitation are like men who want crops without pulling up the ground. They want the rain but can't stand the thunder or the lightning. They want the ocean but they're scared of the awful roar of the waters. He said the struggle we have might be moral, or it might be physical, or it might be both moral and physical, but it must be a struggle. He said, people can only be controlled to the extent that they allow themselves to be. He said a man may not get all he works for in this world, but you will work for all that you get. He said if these injustices heaped upon us are ever going to stop, we must pay for their removal. With our blood, with our lives, with everything we own. But he who wants to be free must himself strike the first blow. Frederick said, for 20 years I prayed on my knees to God. For 20 years I prayed on my knees to God, but the good Lord gave me no freedom till I got up off my knees and start praying with my feet. He said, if you want respect from white people, why do you look for pity? The man who pities you will never respect you, and the man who respects you has no need for pity. Brothers and sisters, let me call on my ancestors, because if it wasn't for them, I would not be here, because it is through them that Almighty God has allowed me to be here. I call on Father Bailey and Mother Selah. I call on Mother Jenny and Grandma Betsy. I call on Grandpa Isaac. I call on my grandmother, Young Betsy, my grandfather, Stephen Henry Bailey, Grandma Caroline Wilson Bailey. I call on Cousin Frederick, and I call on his children. I call on Charles, and I call on Frederick Jr. and Rosetta, and Cousin Annie and Lewis. I call on Grandpa George and Annie, and Grandma Caroline, and Grandma Vivian, and Grandpa Cicero from Cuba, and all my Cuban ancestors. I call on my cousin who died April 30th last year, almost a year, and my grandfather James Johnson, and I call on my uncle Clifford Johnson, and my cousin Shanika White, and my great-great-grandma Gertrude Butler, and great-great-grandpa Charlie Butler, and great-grandma Curly Butler, and great-grandpa Robert Robert Shoemake Sr. Jr. and Robert Shoemake Sr. and great-great-grandma Emma Hollinger and great-great-grandma Delia Pratt and great-grandpa Isaac Johnson and Grandma Mylene Johnson and great-grandpa William Thomas Tillman and Uncle Billy William Thomas Tillman Jr. and Uncle Eric Shoemake and Uncle Dennis Shoemake and my grandma Betty Jean Tillman, who passed away this past November. I lost both grandmoms last year. And I call on my little cousin Nancy, who died in the swimming pool. And I call on my mentor, Dr. Leophis Shakespeare King. And I call on Reverend Dave Devil in the OBM. And I call on my big brother, Clifford Howard, from another mother. And I call on the ancestors of Gory Island Synagogue, who woke me up. And the ancestors of El Mina Slave Dungeon, who woke me up. And the ancestors of Asit Mansour Slave River, who woke me up. And I call on all the Africans who came through the Middle Passage, the Ma'afa, the worst human tragedy in human history. And I call on my ancestors who were born in Africa before slavery. And I call on those ancestors who were born African slavery. And I call on the ancestors of the 13 colonies. And I call on the Nat Turners and the Marcus Garveys, the Martin Delaney's and the Bishop Turners. I call on the Ida B. Wells and the Fannie Lou Hamers. I call on the Betty Shabazes. And I call on the Coretta Scott Kings, the Dr. Kings, the Malcolm X, the Khalid Muhammad, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, Henry Highland Garnett, Martin Delaney, Robert Purvis, John Brown Russworm, and every single African that has ever lived. I call on them and on all of your ancestors to come with us to fight in this 400-year battle for the resurrection and redemption of African people. Ashe, 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 Buffalo, New York, one